Welcome back, Angelo Clemente, the founder and channeler of the Creators Game. And welcome today also Vincent Constance. Angelo, maybe you can shortly introduce yourself and introduce for the people who don't know something about your work. And then we'll introduce Vincent as well.
Okay, I'm Angelo Clement, the creator and the receiver of this tool. And I received this tool 30 years ago. Is essentially the heart of feeling and how to understand what is feelings. And now it's become a game of consciousness and sharing, and is a concrete spirituality where you can practice these tools in your everyday life. It's mean outside of the workshops, outside of a bubble workshops, and is all in one workshop. It's what I can say very shortly. That is the heart of feeling.
And Vincent, do you want to introduce yourself and maybe a little bit about how you see this work or what it means to you?
I'm 23 years old and I was working in different spiritual methods. I was working in Kung Fu and Qigong for many years, then later in family constellations and past life traveling. And when I met Angelo this summer, I was just astonished how potent this method is. People who never worked with a constellation like this go in the middle and they are processing something really fundamental, really deep, and they have access to states of consciousness that are so strong. And yeah, I was just stunned by the potency of this method. And now I want to join Angelo to go to Thailand and help him to create his online course. And today my teeth is a little bit swollen. I have some tooth problems, but every now and then I will try to interfere and ask a question whenever something that I also still don't understand or want to know more exactly.
All right, welcome to the show. And Angelo, you brought forward the topic today of projections because having led many years of group regression experiences, the topic of being projected on or receiving projections is something that you are almost a specialist in, and is something that seems to be of key importance in this work of stepping into facilitation, is how to deal with projections, how to receive projections, and how to understand them and how to give them back. So I'll give it to you, the floor, to speak a little bit about this topic of projections.
Thank you, Margot, to invite me today here. And projections is one of the main subjects that we are working on in Creators Game. Because projections is when somebody says, I have a problem, I have an emotion, I have a system of belief, and it's your fault because I am in pain. It's your fault because I'm suffering. It's your fault because I have this emotion. That's a projection. And Creators Game help the people to take his projection back. It's mean we are putting a rule on the beginning. It's mean whatever you think, whatever you feel, whatever your physical movement is, you are creating it. So we are explaining that everything that a person have inside is his own creation, by will or by victim, unconsciously or consciously. He created. So that's a theory. So we are making some exercise about to understand what is to be 100% self-responsible. And so when we are in a projection, we can take it back to ourselves. In place to say, you are responsible for my problem, we understand that is for example, my projection, so I can look inside. And if I look inside, I go backwards in time. For example, in this lifetime, parents, or in the past life, long time ago, what happened with me, with my soul in the past life. But for that, we need to say, is my projection in place to attack you and to change you? I will look what is inside of me. What is the origin of my problem? So it's essential to understand that is a projection to going back to ourselves. And when you go back to ourselves, you make a processing, and it's a processing that help the people to transform themselves in understanding and in bringing consciousness to what happened to them. So essentially is the most important tool is to learn that is a projection.
Yeah, it's interesting to become the facilitator or like the leader or the creative of a group, because a lot of the unresolved personal issues of the participants will be reflected on this authority figure, and a lot of issues with unhealthy power dynamics in the past or relationships with the parents, and a lot of past life trauma. So I'm supposing that you're slowly becoming an expert of realizing the energy that you're receiving from someone in a group as a leader. That might either be someone being maybe very scared of you or making themselves very small, or someone being kind of angry and trying to overthrow you, or being very critical. I imagine you've received many different kinds of energies.
I receive 100,000 projections on me because that's a job.
So sorry to interrupt the program, but is already some projections about these last words. When Angello says he received 100,000 projections, it's easy to believe that if someone receives so many projections, they must be behaving very poorly to attract such reactions than a typical situation. If someone is the subject of so many projections, it often implies that they are doing something bad. However, in this workshop, we must understand that projections often happen when someone acts differently from how we expect or perceive things. Each time someone behaves in a way that doesn't align with our expectations, we project onto them and assume they are not acting correctly. This highlights the need to understand the principles behind projections more deeply. Take this board, for example. On the left side, we see the heart that represents love and the dove that represent the concept of freedom. Whenever a creator of one event sends a message rooted in love or freedom, it indicates that they are allowing themselves or others to act in ways that we might not permit ourselves to act. On the other side, the receiver, the person projecting, tends to use one of 5 defense mechanisms, projecting their feelings onto the creator. For instance, if Angello as a creator says to a participant, "I see your energy," it may provoke a reaction. If the participant has a different perspective, they might feel that Angello is making a false statement. In this way, a differing opinion can lead to a reaction, which in turn becomes a projection. This dynamic explains how Angello could experience 100,000 projections that in a world of varying perceptions, different points of view are inevitable. What truly matters is the energy created by these projections and our ability to reflect on them. We must take responsibility for our own projections and evaluate whether Angello's or other creators' interpretation of energy is accurate or not. Imagine that Angello says something to a participant in the group. Others in the group might then imagine that his words apply to them as well, leading to further projections. However, what he says to one individual is not necessarily directed at everyone else. When someone perceives an injustice within the group, they must first perform a victim check to ensure that their perception is not a projection. Each time we encounter a differing point of view, we instinctively believe we are right. This is why it's important to focus on the energy behind the projection.
And we are creating an environment like the reality. And so the brains make a kind of copy-paste. What they see is something new, but they try to see what this guy doing is like somebody else in the past did. And I suffer from it. So how can we, as a receiver, for example, I receive a projection, how can I bring back the person to himself to understand that it's a projection? So we go back to the game, creators game board, and you say, look, are you in love energy? No. So if you are not in love energy, where comes this emotion? Is right now or is come from the reaction from the past? So if it's come from a reaction from the past, is a projection. Maybe this person today, the creative today, make a similar situation, but the brain many times he reacts because it's maybe not the same situation, but he assimilated, then it's the same situation because he just know this part. So each time we have a trauma inside, we project outside, then it's going to happen again. And the brain recreates the emotion, it recreates the system of thinking from the past. So in a creator's game, you say, if you are not in love energy, we are projecting. And is this tool that we are using for the participant to look inside of himself. It means each person who is not in love is taking. Taking, it means he need help to discover where comes this projection. And so for the participant is a moment where he don't know. I need to defend myself because some injustice, something is wrong. I need to act because I don't tolerate this situation again. So the person, say, need a kind of temporization for looking inside. And on the beginning, the participant is very afraid to speak, to be judged. So he pretty much handle this projection. He's feel not so good, but he's ready to look inside because he don't trust himself so much to complain or to project. And step by step, this participant feels so secure that this projection gonna be stronger. Not the same one as before because he resolved some, but the new projections get out with more power until one moment they are making the leader because the leader is the number one projection. Is even in the creators game, you say is a national sport. It means each time you criticize a leader is a national sport. You criticize the father, you criticize the teacher, you criticize the government, the rules, and God. That's a national sport. So this is why is after a while is very important for the participant then become more and more powerful, more and more trusting with themselves to accept. Then if we project, because you don't know, each time is a new projection, you don't know it's projection. He's pretty sure that is the truth, is the emotion that he have inside. So you need to accept the Trinity Yoga. It's mean, if somebody else say, no, I don't want to receive what you are sending right now. I'm not feel respected. You are not following the rules of the game. It's mean, if you have a projection, you need to identify it. You need to say, what is your emotion? And before to project on me, you need to ask permission to project on me. I need to be strong enough to hold your projection. If I'm strong enough in receiving your projection, I can send you love. But for that, I need to feel secure. So I need for you to follow the rules of the way you project on me. So it's a whole process, then start from a beginner until a very advanced. And the new projection can come with much more power. So we need to introduce the respect. The respect is the receiver can stop at any time the people who is projecting. It means if the person who project have a sensation, is emergency, I need to act very quick. More you feel than is emergency, more the person is in a projection. So in the creator's game is a kind of constant moving from the participant and the pretending leader, because this leader is leader on the moment, but everybody can become a leader in the creator's game, because we need to play all different roles to see all this range of projections that we have.
Yeah, it reminds me, it's the scapegoat mechanism. It's coined by anthropologist René Girard, and it refers to the process by which groups or societies transfer their collective tension, fear, or aggression onto an individual or subgroup. This person or group becomes the scapegoat, kind of like Jesus, that is standing out. So he's chosen when something goes wrong. These people are offered sort of to release the tension of the group, but they're not really the ones who have actually created the tension. It's deciding to choose something that is outside of us to project the blame of our tension.
Yeah, I think you are speaking about the system of lynching. As soon as one person projects in supposedly this powerful leader, it's become a kind of a person who projects is in anger, hate, resentment, or sadness. And the situation is the following. Everybody's clairsentience. Everybody feel the energy of others, but they don't know it. So when a person projects, the other person receives his energy and by instinct, it defends the point of view of the complainer. For example, if somebody sends hate and I am a participant, I receive his hate. I feel it. So when I'm in hate, I want to destroy. I want to destroy something and I want to say that somebody is bad. So now one person was complaining and me as a participant, I also have hate because I feel the hate inside of me, not because I create it, but I feel by receiving it. I vibrate that. So my mind have a kind of instinct to think the same way as the same energy of the other person. And 2, 3, 4 persons, and that's everybody's angry in a way. And it's very easy to lynch one person that you don't like. So that's become a lynching system. And this is why in a game it's very important to identify and to not get trapped about the person who's complaining, because the person who complains becomes a dominant animal in our subconsciousness. So we are taking the forfeit. It means you're going to defend the point of view of a dominant animal. So like this, you are safe. So we are almost systematically attacking the creative. The person who says something, he creates something, but the people who react, we have the tendency to defend always the person who reacts, the person who is angry, the person who is sad, and systematically. So we create a kind of lynching system. So the creative is many times repressed in our society by different ways. So it's very important to be aware. Then you are clear feelers, and that is auto manipulation if you are not aware of it. So we begin all to project, and projecting is so good. Some people are professional scandalizers. Each time is a situation, I like to scandalize myself, the government, the state, the weather, the money, everything. They like it because they put this energy out and they feel strong. They need to find an outside enemy to bring this energy out. And it's so much more easy than to look, oh, it's my projection, I look inside. Because it's not natural to do this, because I'm going to feel guilty if I understand that it's me. So the people don't want that. But they don't transform and they continue again and again with these projections.
Yeah, it's like we are creating this hate ourselves or this anger, so we are actually suffering from it. What comes up for me is the burden of standing out, and it's connected to the work I did with you about leadership and some of my personal fears of leading groups or becoming a leader or standing out. Is this becoming the scapegoat, becoming the target of the group when something goes wrong and being offered.
So to become a leader is to be the number one target from the participants, from everybody. Because each person who is not allowing to take position for what they think, what they believe, they will attack the pretending powerful leader. And so they're going to play the victim strategies. Victim strategies is so much easier to be a victim, to be a complainer, and to try to destroy these supposed powerful leaders. And so you're going to have much more friends like this. So in stepping back to our power, the power is a power of creation. It's not a power of domination, because it's a lot of projections about leaders, the people, and the brain is always focused in what is not resolved. Even the leader is many good things, because the leader is the one who takes the risk. The leader of a company is the one who receives the votes from all the assembly, and now he need to represent this company, and he takes the risks. And each time is the problem is the leader who's going to change, going to be different. And at the same time, is a kind of idealization of a leader, but is the first one who pay for it. So is a very a big subject to be a leader, and the number one projections, and this is why it's a national sport. But Creators Game is a community and leadership. The leadership, the positive side of the leader is he can focus and to all the group and to go in a specific point of view, and he can bring the group in one direction when this direction is right and is good, we can bring it to the enlightenment process, because all the group is focused in one situation. And so you can dig very, very deep and go like this through parents. So you can go through these past lives. And even after past life, you can stay focused until you have a kind of enlightenment process. Enlightenment process, you have around 200 types of enlightenment process. But it's because you still focus in this subject. And the community work is everybody and community work is everybody can interrupt at any time. Everybody can give his point of view. So you stay in this 5% of the subject, because each one have a different point of view and you go in many different directions. But the goal is to be community work and leadership work. And in a creators game, everybody can be a leader to go deeper in what he believes is right for him and for the group. But this is why so many projections. And is so many projections in this type of leader, because this leader is involving himself. He vibrates the energy. It's different from what we say a professional is cutting himself totally from the emotions and is in his head with the structure. Let's do this. And he puts the participants to have interaction between them, and he come as a savior. In creators game, we are all implicated. We are vibrating. And it's because the leader is implicating, is vibrating this energy, then is much more powerful. But he receives also much more projections, because he plays the role than the people with traumatized believe then is really the actor of his past life on this or in his childhood. So this is why we need to learn the power, the implication, and also the respect for this leader.
Yeah, because it's this immersive theater that's almost like the leader in the creator game need to, even though it's all real, it sometimes looks a bit like a game or like a theater, and it's to play the role of the perpetrator or the role of the abuser of power to really bring people to process. Yeah, it can look extremely controversial from the outside.
Okay, so the role of a leader is to bring security in a group. Without security and a kind of trust, the persons can not open to themselves. So the leader on the beginning is very caring about all participants and all traumas of the participants. So the leader must feel the energy that each participant vibrate. If somebody is traumatized, is like this, you need to know that this person need a special care. The participant need to feel secure enough to begin to open. But when is advanced group, if we want, then each participant take his power back and power back on the pretending leaders or powerful people. If the participant have the power to defend himself against it. So it's a kind of leveling between what we can play and what the other person can receive, and to go over the trauma. Because how can we activate people and at the same time be totally respectful from what the person needs? So this is why on the beginning, we help them to learn how to respect themselves and give them all the 22 security rules for them to respect themselves. And we give priority to the pretending victims for them to not be victims anymore. A victim is a person who is holding his emotion, is a person who cannot respect himself, and he will complain afterwards. That's a victim. And some of them are victim strategies. So they don't say anything to complain afterward as a victim, to have all the saviors fighting against this pretending leader who did something wrong. So it's a huge game of consciousness. But the final thing is how to go over our projections, and it's many thousand of them and many hundred types of them. So this is why each time you are triggered in evolution of a participant, because if this participant get more and more powerful, and he will accept less and less the teachings of the leader. So you need to prepare the participants since the beginning to respect the leader. Otherwise, in the middle of the workshop, if you say, now you need to respect me, it's too late. So all the rules need to be introduced since the beginning.
I would like to ask some questions about the community work. Sometimes there are dynamics of projections, many projections at the same time. For example, two persons say, this is the reason, no, this is the reason. There's many problems at the same time. And in the end, it might be difficult to find back to the core of it. So how can we help in this kind of situations if it happens to ourselves or if you witness it? How can we help to slow down this projection dynamics? Dynamics of a group or of just two people when they say, you're responsible for this, so it's your fault. And then, no, it's your fault. And there's so many different points of view. And yeah, in the end, many of them could be projections.
So when you say is your fault is already a projection. And when it's two people who say is your fault and your fault, each one think and makes the interpretation that is the fault of each one. So how we do in Creators Game, we are taking our energetical board of Creators Game and with sticks and what is your event for each one. And you're going to see almost all the time, then it seems then is a conflict, but in reality is two conflicts. For example, a person say you are ugly with energy of resentment. Another one say, fuck you, if energy of dial 4, anger. So the first one is in projection and the second one is even more in projection and is sending even more bad energy. But the second one say, you start, I am allowed to punish you with my bad energies. In reality, both are in two different projections. So if you are just two persons, is a procedure in Creators Game who gonna come back to love first to help the other person to process. That's how it is. So it's essential to see who is in a projection. Both of them are out of love. Both of them are in a projection. So you need to work in one conflict at a time. Or both of them go in process at the same time, but we need somebody else to help them and to support them and to make them the secure surrounding, and after they can work on them. But the base is, I am in a projection. You cannot make a work on it if the person don't say, I have a conflict to resolve. Until you say, is you the problem? We stay in this loop of projection and hate and anger and is not resolved. So the base is, I am projecting. I'm projecting. I'm not in love. I'm projecting. That's it. And when is many projections in a group at the same time, is different situations. If they are in a field of the game, if they can help each others, you have 20 people, you can have 10 processes at the same time because it's 10 helpers. 10 helpers, 10 people are projecting, but they can be in a process. If they have the eyes closed, they can express everything they want. So they are working in their projection. They know where it's come from. But if it's a massive projection to each other, the only thing that works is emergency system. The leaders say, and is a rule of it, let's go back to meditation in silent, close your eyes and feel what is your creation. Is your creation like a kind of vipassana? Vipassana, you look to it and you let it go. And here in Creators Game, we try to look, okay, that is mine. I was activating by this event, or maybe it's come from my past. I am ready to work for help to go to process. And in this meditation, the people usually they take it back. At least 90-95% of the people. And some other people still say, oh, is you the problem? And I cannot leave my projection until the group don't know this injustice. Okay, as soon as the group know this injustice, they are ready to go inside. And there they can go for a very big process. Okay, but it's always projections. And it's many different types. And that is what is crazy and is evaluating all the time. That's what is especially difficult because, it's many different types.
Is there a bad behavior? that is just, let's say, what you're doing is wrong? Or is it always projections? Or where is the line from a projections to a bad behavior?
Is a shield of security. You are not allowed to touch other persons physically without permission, okay? Especially if you are in projection. So if somebody hits physically somebody else without his own permission, is out of a game. So that is very important to know. Can you ask me again the other question?
I'm talking about dynamics that are like very strong manipulation that is messing with the group all the time, or attacking in community work. If there's constant attacking or insulting.
So if it's a person and then is constantly attacking the leader or somebody else, many times is always this pattern: problems with authority, problems with the parents. The authority figure have a so bad reputation, then this person is repeatedly attacking the leader with resentment or anger, dial 3 or dial 4. And that can be, after a while, very tiring for the leader to receive that. In this case, we can put some protections. When you're going to react, speak to another participant will transfer the message to the leader. And you can use it different tools like this. But it's true, if the person don't go over about this permanent reaction, why the leader or me will stay in this fire all the time? I can ask the person to leave, and this person will be refound. And at the same time, the opposite is a person who is always suffering. Whatever is happening in a group is so much suffering. Then a person believe then somebody is gonna fall on him, and this suffering is also gonna radiate on the group. This suffering is gonna spread in a group, and the group will feel that inside, and they will limit it themselves, and even they will defend the point of view of this traumatized person. So again, it's going to be a different reaction from the group against the leader, because this person is suffering a lot. So you need to see then each person is in this quantum field. Whatever we project outside, we're going to create it in a way. So it's very interesting, and we're going to see it a lot in a universal soul constellation. What you project on me, I'm going to become it. If you say I am an aggressor and you send me a lot of energy of aggression, unconsciously I'm going to create this. If I have always a little percentage of it, I'm going to activate it, and I become your slave as object of your projection. So it's very important to know why people activate different issues. Who is the co-activator? So it's very complex, and there's so many different situations. But in any case, even if you are a victim of somebody who is projecting on us, we're still responsible for our reaction. Okay? For example, once I was in a group and I had a feeling, then I wanted to make a shack like this on somebody. And I say, whoa, it's not my style. Why I should do this. And so I stopped and I observed this feeling, and I was looking to the person, saying, I have something deep to share to you, and I had this sensation, but I believe that is more a projection than come from you unconsciously, and you want to activate this memory for you to work on it. It's a little bit strange. But I was not acting. I was proposing her, if the person resonates with this, to receive something like this, something violent. You cannot do that in a game without any permission, if it's not in a game. But the person say, yes, it's true, I feel it, something with that. So I do it in a slow motion for activating that, but with the person of the concerned person. And that was activating a very big, huge past life memory where she was beaten by her husband. Understand? So all the emotions come up. And if I would do it, if I will be the object of projection on her, it will create a drama. She will activate all the group against a pretending bad leader. You understand? So it's very interesting. More you play this game, more you play differently, and you need to be aware of these possibilities of this quantum field. So creators game is a permanent evolution, and this is why you need to stay always in security and respect, and you cannot act physically or in aggression without any permission. You need to be aware of this game.
I think it's maybe interesting to mention for the listeners that there is like a difference between, with the work that we've been doing with you, with the Creators Game, between the workshop, being inside the workshop, and being in community time. Because when we are inside the workshop, it is like this sort of immersive theater process, the Universal Soul Constellation, where you are really working with the energy and you can play these roles of these things that are coming up, being intuitive, being open channels. And in the community time, we are still doing day-to-day interactions and obviously trying to learn as well. The learning continues in both of those, but in the game, there's these different rules that you have put together so that we can explore this depth of work where you can maybe play the role of the perpetrator because maybe the person is ready to be faced with this deep pain that is creating this fear about being abused by leadership. And it's in order to help them in daily life to be more free, to be more aware of like, I don't need to be afraid, giving back the mirror, like the projection.
The game as perpetrator need to, or when a leader play the game of to be the perpetrator, he need to do it in a very, very special context with some witnesses. Then they are witness, then is a game of it. Even the person accept it, even the person ask for it, is need to be really well organized. And in a creator's game is never problems, almost never problems, never projections, because I can see many things. But when you come back to the community time, the people sometimes forget the rules of the game and they have so much pleasure to have this role of leader, and so the leader have a hard time with the participants. And many times they don't want to respect the rules of the game. They like to put the projections outside until we, in the community time, we was imposing to play creators game rules in a community time. It's mean if somebody project, the person who receive his projection just do like this, okay? But in everyday life, we don't do this, okay? So I'm gonna receive his projections so much. No, I don't want. So we need to play the creators game rules, but out in a community time, but is different from creators game workshop. Creators game workshop, we are activating and all the rules are applied, and we are accepting the rule of this leader, so we are much more aware what you are doing. And so the thing is how to bring this consciousness during the community time, to apply these rules, to also to make these deep transformations quicker and quicker. We need to change these habits of our everyday life. One of the habits is, as soon as if I am with in a community time with 4 or 5 people, they listen me as a friend. They not listen me as a leader anymore. So they are argumenting, counter-argumenting a lot in place to go to the self-responsibility. But we need to use different rules of respect to not stay in the superficiality of the everyday life. So it's because the role is to be everybody leader and self-responsible. You just can be leaders if you are fully 100% self-responsible and always in the awareness in what kind of energy I exchange when I put my ideas out. That is what is creator's game. What quality of energy you express your ideas.
I would like to ask one more thing. And I hope I have a good example to ask the question. And one projection point you mentioned is the government. So people love projecting on the government. And let's say in the past there were government kings or some structures that were really putting pressure on the farmers, on the people, like doing, let's say, supposedly bad things, taking away the food and bringing a lot of suffering to the people. So where is the projection and where is it truth? And also in two people context where people have conversations, where is it just a projection, or where is it really a bad behavior that's not excusable? Is there a line, or what is the difference between that?
In our subconsciousness, we was more abused by the power, the leaders, the governments, than he was holding. So is a kind of, this is why it's so difficult when we give the freedom back to the people to express everything they want. They are expressing all the hate, the anger, the submission that they've been through. And so now they want freedom, but in this freedom is a lot of hate in expressing. So this is why for the creators game leader is more difficult. So this is why we need to say you are not anymore in these ancient times. We are here to everybody to be leader. And for example, when you are a participant, you are afraid to express yourself because you are afraid to be judged. You already play the role, then some leader or somebody more powerful will judge you. And if the person is afraid to speak, is because they put themselves in a position the other person is more powerful, and what he says is more powerful from what I'm saying. So it's better if I submit myself straight away. So we're still playing these roles. And at the same time, we want to fight against it. So there is where the complexity of the game. Sometimes I help people to liberate themselves from the oppression of the father, because there was so much submitted, there was so much suffering from this father in this lifetime, and they feel so free to say I hate you and kick out and to kick some pillows. They are so happy that all the hate come out. That's good. But just after, if it's a situation, then they assimilated to a powerful leader do something wrong after they use so much hate against him. You understand? So this new automatism, this liberation that he had before, now is returned against the leader in this workshop. So we need to learn respect at the same time. After the person go to the power, they need to make it softer. And me as a leader, I have a hard time with people who had very bad parents, because they're gonna project on me. And now I say, I'm not your parent, I'm not your father, I'm not your leader, I'm not your God, and I don't want to dominate you. So if you want to shit on me, you need to be aware in what energy are you and ask permission to do it. Otherwise, it's become a mess emotionally and personally for me. So it's a big subject, how to become a soft and loving leader, and the real leader is there to receive all ideas of everybody and to make a solution for helping them back. It's giving the power back to them. A real leader is on service. And so you need also respect from all types of projection that you're going to receive. This is why we had Trinity Yoga. If I do this, please, whatever you want to say.
A little bit of background research about authority issues and where they could potentially come from. So I understand that as a leader, that is maybe one of the most difficult projections, is to receive this constant anger or distrust. And the truth is that it can stem from a range of traumatic experiences. And I actually have a little list. Experiences of betrayal by authority figures. In the past life, the individual trusted a leader, ruler, teacher, or spiritual guide who betrayed them, either through manipulation, abandonment, or misuse of power. So it's basically coming back to the pain of this. First, there is the layer of anger, dial 3, resentment, and then once the projection is sort of taken responsibility for by this person that's projecting, by going in process, by closing the eyes, by coming to the center, then there underneath will be this layer of dial 2, of sadness, of grief, of painful feelings. But there is a whole range of trauma that leads to trust issues and authority issues. There's being a victim of oppression, like having lived under a tyrannical regime, being enslaved, or being a part of a persecuted group where authority figures abuse their power. This could create a subconscious association between leadership and oppression, leading to rebellion or distrust when faced with authority. Our human history is so vast, and a lot of these kind of experiences also. That was interesting for me in my journey with you, was first being a victim of power, And then having faced some processes around that, it was seeing myself as being a leader that misused my power. Because that is also a trauma. In a past life, they could have held a position of authority and abused their power, leading to harm or suffering to others. This could manifest as a karmic imprint or distrust towards authority in this life, an unconscious projection of their own guilt or fear of repeating that misuse of power. It's interesting for me, this where's the root, you know? And also because you're training people with your course to become facilitators, to become leaders, to take full responsibility of their energy. So yeah, then we have to go to this guilt, to this fear, to this pain of being a victim. I accessed with your group's past life of all of these scenarios. All of them are present in me. They're being persecuted for speaking truth. They might have been punished or executed for standing up against an unjust authority. For example, being a whistleblower, a rebel, or a revolutionary. This could instill a fear of authority as inherently dangerous or as untrustworthy. That was the past life that I figured out why my throat was blocked and why it was so difficult for me to speak in the group. And in the beginning, I was also sending out this energy of fear and making myself, oh, I don't want to receive the attention. And yeah, then going through the process brought me to this experience of having spoken words of revolution somewhere in the Middle Ages, being killed in a very unpleasant way that blocked my throat for a few lifetimes to come.
So it's beautiful the job you already did with yourself to see, and before to have done it is so many projections on the leader. The leader is bad or the leader is beautiful. Also sometimes some people put themselves in a devotion mode, you know. They begin to idealize me, and I say, whoa, if you idealize me, you put me in a role, then you project so much something positive, then you're gonna make me fall down. As soon as I make a small failure, you're gonna bring me down, and with so much hate. So I say, take care. If you put yourself in a kind of, I am your guru, I am this, you're gonna have a big disillusion because you put myself in a kind of projection. What is a guru? What is this? But you give your power away. So don't stay in that and make a process while you are in this submission devoted situation. And so I take care for the people to not be in this. So to become a leader is a kind of, is a kind of growl. It's a kind of goal, not for controlling other people, not to lead other people, but to know that you are free to lead yourself. And if you are a leader, it means you make a peace with the leadership. You made a peace with showing yourself. You make a peace with giving your teachings. You give a peace to touch, to teach, to trust. You trust yourself. If you want to teach somebody, many doubts you have, you need to look to them. Otherwise, when you're going to be in the front of a group, you're going to shake because the brain going to see always what is the worst. So if something is not resolved, we're going to shake as a leaders. So in a position, in this perspective, to become a leader, you need to clean everything inside. So that's what is good in this game. And we need to go to past life. And you need to know also what you did as a leader in past life or what you suffer from a leader. So it's a very, very huge subject. And when you are really a good leader, you can be a really good participant and to transfer this knowledge to other people. And after you can enjoy to be in a group, then share your way of life. Is more than your ideas. I believe then you can be all united in thinking different. Then have this perspective, oh, when everybody think like me, we're going to be happy. I think the perspective is how can we love each other? Love is not sex. Love is an energy of permission. And when you're going to love ourselves with different type of ideas. And if the other person have a totally different ideas, she can have it. It's not the idea where is the problem. It's the energy that the person create with this idea. And if the person create with a very beautiful idea, a lot of anger, I don't take it. Even the idea is beautiful. Let's be all united. Let's be all together. You know, that's not love. Even the idea is very good. So it's very interesting to do this. And more you play creators game, more we feel, then we can be everything. It's like we can be all different aspects of everybody. I don't know, it's a kind of resonance. Maybe it's memories from everything or everybody we was, or we are connected to this united field. And today I'm not really defending any kind of point of view because I can feel all different points of view. And I've been through many different types of processing, and so I can see so many different types of point of view. So what I defend today is security and respect, and everything else is let's play it together.
I wrote down also a few of the common projections onto leaders, which is demonization that we talked about a lot because it's difficult to receive. It's important to know how to manage self-doubt and pressure by receiving that. Then there is idealization, which you talked about briefly. I guess then you have to deal with inflated ego. You have to understand, okay, this is just a construct. It's not real. This person is making a massive projection onto me as some kind of savior, some kind of parental substitute, or some kind of Jesus. And there is also the risk of becoming then a scapegoat. Like later on, they will understand that it was an illusion, that they were creating some kind of dream around you. So it is also painful to deal with this afterwards. I wonder about this idealization when you're being idealized by a participant in the group, for example. Do you have any idea where it comes from within them?
Idealization is a positive projection. Positive projections, they project on me what they also knew in the past. There was in this energy in the past, like in enlightenment, or with a very beautiful guru or a beautiful community, and they project, and I'm gonna bring it also to them. And after they put so much expectations, and if the expectations are not fulfilled, because I travel, we are separated, that will transform in hate. It's a kind of system of defense that we have inside. It's like a small kid. If the father is more than 1 or 2 months away, he's gonna create, before he loved the father or the mother, and after he miss it, and it's too painful to miss it. So in transforming it in hate is more tolerable, and the kid have more energy. So it's a kind of system, in consciousness system, is better to be in hate because the kid have more energy than to be depressive, like sadness or something. So it's very important to not be trapped on these projections, but it's good also to accept. And in this moment of the processing, we can go to very huge enlightenment and to appreciate it in knowing that it's just for a while, and to receive this energy of you are all in a bliss. But it's not because you are in this bliss, then we're gonna forget the reality. This is why in Creators Game you have the financial security. Don't give everything you have because you reach this enlightenment process. Everything you have material. So you need to stay, to know that this energy stay during 1 week in a kind of bliss, but it can go also very quick away. So not be trapped about what we feel, believe after these processings. That's many cults using it, these states, to have some money power on the people. So you need to take consciousness about it. So when we see it, we're gonna help these abusers and these victims, the victims to go back to his power, and the abuser to go back to his sensitivity where there was abuse. Because it's very important to not be trapped about the victim, then continue to stay victim, to activate the saviors to destroy this powerful abuser. We need to know that we have this game inside of us, the victim, the savior, and the abuser. And everybody wants to protect this victim. But until we protect too much the victim cannot go back to her power. And she likes to stay victim. So the game is how to help victims to go back to their power. So it's very important to say, victims, you are here not to trust, you are here to go back to your power. Because if you trust, you give your power back to somebody else. So it's very important. And the saviors, when they see this kind of situation between the victim and the abuser, they choose always the side of the victim. But in place to help the victim to go back to her power, they just want to kill the abuser. So this dynamic need to be really well understanding for us to play in a safe group, okay? to not be trapped about victims who want to stay victim. Victims don't have the power to speak straight away on the moment to respect themselves. So we need to feel when somebody is hurt and to give them power back to respect themselves and to express it. Okay? That is typical, the fear that the common people have about leaders will abuse their power straight away. That's straight away. But if the person don't want to be leader because they have this trauma, how they can lead their own life, how they can go further in what they have inside and to teach other people. So they need to make the peace with themselves when there was a leaders in past life and when there was abused by this leadership. If you understand that leaders is one and followers are many, so it's much more traumas on the being victims from the leader than the leaders was victim from the followers. Okay, so everybody have a conflict with a leadership. So it's a kind of path to make peace with it. Each time we have a project, we need to make a peace with our leadership. And this leadership is many, many different subjects. One subject is when I promote who I am or what I sell or what I'm teaching, do I am in peace with it? Do I have enough value from what I'm teaching? Do I have enough trust with myself to ask money in exchange? So if I have not trust enough in myself, I feel very bad to send a mail. I'm very bad to make an interview. I feel very bad, you understand? Because inside of myself, I'm not totally united. So all these conflicts, all these projections need to be looked.
I remember this, what you told us in Portugal about victims and leaders, and you gave some examples about, for example, in the United States, there's these big corporations, and there's so many rules around the leaders to protect potential situations of victims. With the CEO, for example, that was very interesting what you touched upon, so maybe you could speak about that.
Some years ago, the society was speaking a lot, I think it's around 10 years ago, about harassment. So it was a series of situations where they was protecting the victims. And for example, and at the end, there was forbidding almost the CEO to take a lift with one worker alone in the lift. Because if this person say, he was proposing me this or he is looking like this with a very sneaky eyes and they go to the court and these victims will all win all the time. So the who become a victim of these victims is a CEO could not have a normal relation anymore because these kind of situations happen and these victims need to be protected. But after a while, what the society put is more rules to protect everybody. And is a kind of separation. And I can hear already some people who are listening to this podcast and they like to be angry. And these victims and these they like it. You understand? They like to scandalize. And they pretend that I'm defending the CEO and not the victims to just put the shit out. This is why whatever you listen here, you are responsible for yourself. That's a condition to listen to this podcast. If you are a person who are responsible for yourself, you can listen it. Otherwise, you're gonna spend all your life creating hate in pretending helping, but you just make more destruction. Yeah, but these victims need to be protected. Yes, come and help them. But maybe these victims, they go to past life and there was abuse or killed by the leader. But many times I say, when the suffering is too big, I say, now is the time for you to look when you was the abuser. In this lifetime, there are victims. In past life, there was victims. But in the previous past life of the last past life, there was abuser. And that makes the karma low. You've been killed because you was killing before. And that's make a peace because the person understand, okay, I was the abuser and the victim, so now I understand the path of the soul. Until we don't embrace all parts, we are not one, united with the situation. And when the sensation of justice comes, the peace can come inside of ourselves and you don't need to fight. We can help, but fighting is hate. We can support in place to fight and to hate. For the people who complain, when you go to action to help people with love, to support them. Because most of the people, they go, you need to protect against this bad person and send more hate to this victim, not sending the hate to the victim, but the other person, but who received the energy is the person who is near. It's amplify the hate of this victim. So the victim was before repressed, now is become a victim with a lot of hate because they receive a lot of hate support. So we need to look what path we do. And so the objective is to be conscious what energy we create in all different situations. And that is our regulation. This is why Creator's Game is the awareness of the energy before all these theories.
Yeah, it's this victim armies that you were speaking about. You were speaking about the Me Too movement, right? Where the victims are becoming sort of the centerpiece of attention. And there's all kinds of rules and freedom is limited. Creative leadership is sort of put in a certain box. And the victims are sort of forming an army.
Yeah, the victim is a person who was abused by an authority or somebody who say, you cannot do this. You cannot do this is an authority. When we complain about the situation of somebody else, we also become an authority, potentially. And so these victims are so afraid to be judged again because they play their past in the present. So they are not allowing themselves to express or to complain. So they go to another victim and complain again. And so they feel more powerful until there are a lot of them. And they go to internet and complaining, pretending that this powerful leader is bad. So that's a victim power army. And what I say is, if you have a conflict with somebody, have the courage to call the person and to make a sharing. In knowing, then if you complain, if you suffer, you are asking for help. So you need to ask permission. It's not because you are scandalizing yourself, then you're right. Until you are not in love energy, you are taking. So ask permission to take. So have the courage to speak and make voice message to this leader, then you pretend then to be so bad. In place to charge many other victims and to be strong enough to be sure that you're right and the other one is bad. If you don't go to past lives, how can we know what is right or what is wrong? Until we are in not love, until we are not in love energy is something to look. And until we are not in love energy, we are projecting.
Yeah, like I feel like it is true that there is really abusive situations where people are victims, and I don't want to shove that aside just like that. I guess the idea of what we are all talking about and the idea behind your game is to give the power back, to give an opportunity for victims to reclaim their power and not to stay in this place of it's because of this person, it's because of that event, and I will remain in my low energy space of being a victim. But yeah, it's a difficult topic, especially the sexual victims is a topic that is very difficult.
Victim in the game is very large. You have creator's game or victim game. A victim game is a people who don't respect themselves at T0. T0 is time. T0 is when it's happened. Okay, the objective to go out of the victim is to express ourselves. So each time somebody gonna complain afterwards, and I say, okay, can you say T plus 1 hour? Okay, so during this time, you are suffering, you are sending energy of resentment or sadness to all the group, and why you didn't express yourself before. The victim stop to be victim when they say, I would like to speak about something that is shaking inside of me. And that's what is the most important, is not what's happened, but take the power back to express yourself when something you don't like or you're reacting, to express straight away. So victims, it's happen all the time. If I hold something and I don't express it, I'm victim during T plus 10 seconds. So giving power back to the victim is for them to be creative. And it's many thousand times victims. Each time we complain, we are a victim. So it's very large. And the victims have a priority in the game because they have the power. It's not the leader who have the power. Even the saviors have not the power because they are defending something for somebody else and they don't want to see their own problems. So they're projecting. The saviors need to project, and leaders are bad to feel enough powerful to defend victims. You understand? Is also they project to themselves that they are not powerful enough. They are fighting against authority. So they need to protect always victims, and they suffer and they hate. So all about that is the consciousness is the energy who tell us if you are creators or you are victims. And the projection is when you believe what your monkey mind says in a victim state. A victim will always project on others. And so with words, with sentence, and if you believe what the monkey mind says is justified always to attack this pretending leader, this pretending theta. So it's very important to refocus on the energy and ask help to go to process. The only way to see where it's come from until the person make a peace inside of himself and understand, and the justice comes, the love comes, and we can even say, thank you, this bad leader, to activate, or this theta, to activate that for me to grow up in consciousness.
The victims are the ones that are holding the power because they are the ones that are in the creators game group, because they're the ones creating the most, vibrating the most difficult feeling that is affecting everyone else. And then the idea of T plus is time plus. So the invitation for victims or everyone that's participating in one of your workshops is to be as much as possible to come to the time of the event when they started to feel this difficult emotion and maybe become a victim of this vibration or this event because it's resonating with some kind of trauma. And then to, as quickly as possible, this is the time, then to speak up, oh, I'm feeling something difficult, or I don't feel safe, or have some difficult emotions coming up with this situation, to take their power by speaking in the first step.
The victim must identify the projection. The projection is they send the hate on somebody else. They send their own problem on somebody else. It's because they believe this projection, then they stay victim. So the game is how to identify that is a projection and ask help to work on this projection. In the processing is the best way, because in the processing nobody will give you advice. Nobody will give you say to you what you have to do. You're gonna find by yourself. This is why in Universal Soul Constellation everybody work at the same time, and everybody have this possibility to work on their own emotions all at the same time. Because they work all at the same time, they don't wait, and they liberate straight away with the energy that is with the energy all the group in a maximum of security and respect. Even they don't feel respected, they can stand up and say, I'm not feel respected. Somebody will come and care about them.
Yeah. And it is okay to be, we are all sometimes a victim. The idea is just to, as quickly as possible, come back to freedom, come back to power.
Yeah, is okay, and is even more than okay. They have a priority. The victims have a priority. Victims is, they have an emotion. They are already victims of themselves. Is a huge victim and a small victim and a micro victim. We are victims when you are not in our power. If I want to express something and I'm afraid then somebody will judge me, I'm a victim from somebody will judge me. So maybe I can say, okay, I would like to share something. I'm afraid to express something deep because I'm afraid that somebody will judge me. So what are you going to do? You express that in front of a group, who's going to judge this person? But who is a victim? She is a victim of believing that other people, when they will judge, they're right. You understand? If I'm afraid that the other people will judge me, it means I'm afraid then this person says something bad and I believe it. If I don't believe what she say, I'm not the victim. If the person project on me and I say, okay, it's your own shit, it's your own projection, it's yours, I don't take it, so I'm not a victim. So at the end, I'm a victim always of myself. But it's need to be expressed until we understand all these types of projection, all these types of victims to become the soft leader Is mean soft leader is leading my life, express when is the time for me to express and to take the directions I would like to take in my life, and creating and expressing who I am. Because in expressing who I am, I can go further and discovering all possibilities of who I am, and these endless possibilities.
I also find that with expressing in a vulnerable way, that one is feeling, maybe I'm afraid to be judged. This is my fear. I want to make a sharing, but I'm afraid to receive the judgment of others. It's inviting also to receive the kind of love that is needed to be held in that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of also in the creator's game is to receive the right style of loving to each traumatic pain, or to each anger, each sadness.
The fear of to be judged is healthy. Okay, it's mean we consider the point of view of the other person, and we're gonna test with our point of view. So it's healthy to be this. What is not healthy is I'm gonna be traumatized if I receive a different point of view of somebody else. So when I speak, you need to check how much I am afraid of speaking. And this fear of to be judged, it will never disappear, never. Because each time you go with a new conflict, if you have the conflict, is something we've been judged in the past. So it's appear again. But how we deal with the fear of judgment? If I express something, do I gonna abuse somebody? Do I gonna hurt somebody with my appearance, with my words? How can I interact? So it's a kind of big study how to interact with the other person. How can I gonna say something that maybe is difficult for you? Can you put yourself in the position of? So we need to prepare the other person that pretendly will judge us. Because we need to have this cocktail. I share my difficulty, but I want to receive love. And that's how it's helped me to go deeper and deeper and deeper on my process. So we need to prepare the other person. In Creator's Game is a kind of all preparation altogether, but we need also to learn how to prepare it in our everyday life to spread this method everywhere.
I wonder if you have a question, Vincent.
Yeah, I'm thinking about different situations of my life, real victims, if there are, how your point of view is on people who have suffered from strong, let's say, violence or something, or
Physical violence or sexual violence or money violence.
all of them, any of them, and not a certain one.
So the question is, what's my point of view when they are in a workshop or in different way?
Oh, in a community outside of the workshop.
Okay, for me, they have a priority for different reasons. For different reasons, because they are the most traumatized. Once I say it in a workshop, okay, you are too traumatized to stay in this workshop. And this traumatized person went outside of my workshop, went in the community, and somebody was ruling the community. And this person was crying because I say she was traumatized. And the other leader of the community came and shouted on me, "You cannot say that she's traumatized." Okay? Many times the leaders and the authorities, they like to play the game of authority in protecting traumatized people. So they keep them as traumatized so they can stay as the leaders and the powerful leaders. You understand? So that's a game of the powers. And so if somebody is heavily traumatized, the person don't say anything, but the person send energy of anxiety. And this energy will send to the group and share to the group. So the group will receive this energy and will be affected by this energy, and automatically everybody repress themselves because they are feeling this energy, not because they are creating, but they are receiving it. They feel it in receiving. Is what we say in Creator's Game, wave in. And our mind is affected by that. So they have a priority because they are affecting all the group. And second is the persons who need to make more steps to themselves. But these victims also, they are waiting until somebody do a situation, then will activate them as the victims. And they will cry and they will be painful. And it's awful. And they will activate the saviors. to destroy the powerful leader. You understand? So this is already written on a script. If you don't identify this type of victims, is written on a script. So we need to enlighten that. And I need, as a leader, to ask help for all the group to help this person. But when somebody is a victim, they're already projecting. The other people could be the tattlers. They will abuse her. So they are already sending this message to create this. And me as a leader, I'm also in a danger about other people will be victims of this victim projection. So it's many different aspects. This person is a person, the victims, who needs the most help, but it will be the person who's going to criticize the most. And it will be the persons who are going to make the victim power army. And especially if these victims have entities inside. Entities is mean like they will send, when they will express themselves, so much anxiety, then the group maybe is also in danger because they will complain afterwards. So it's a very tricky, these situations of real victims, because these victims will attract a kind of abusers, because abusers is also somebody who is traumatized. But this abuser was traumatized, so he choose victims because they feel powerful with victims. So it's very important to be aware of it, because victims can be also a strategy. There was really a victim during a long time, and they was choosing to have a strategy of victims. For example, a victim can say, oh, I'm really shitty, I'm really bad. Because if they play that in the past, they will not hurt them because they recognize that they are shitty, because maybe in past life they was handicapped or mentally handicapped, or they didn't want to learn something, and with the parents wanted to bring him to high school, but they was beating them, and in place to be beaten, if the person played the handicapped, the parents not fighting against. And so in this lifetime they can still have these strategies of continuing to stay a victim, because to become leader you have so many projections. Who you think you are to be proud of yourself is not. Everybody want to middleize the people. People who are low, they want to bring to 50%, and people who are really very proud and powerful, they want to bring them down. It's a kind of society. You cannot be higher because leaders are just bad and abusers, and victims, they need to be helped. Okay, so you have that in our subconsciousness. So you need to know that victims have strategies. Okay, so this is why they are the priority in the game, because all the conflicts we have is about victims that didn't respect themselves, and they're gonna complain afterwards, because in scandalizing themselves, everybody gonna listen them and attract all of the saviors. So it's a game that people play, and our society they play it so much. People who are scandalizing themselves and sending these black sheep of scandalizing and making bad comments. So it's a kind of national sport today. So it's very important to focus. It's not what you say that is important. It's what energy you create. And we say create, it's not vibrate. You create the energy. And that is when the person is 100% responsible. And we need to make a map of so many different types of projections. It's so many. This is why people make the workshops, but after they are trapped in a different types of projection afterwards. It's moving all the time. So the goal is to identify a projection. If you are not in love, systematically we are projecting. And the game is how to listen to it. We don't think anymore how much we lie to ourselves. So when you see a cartoon, you can decide what energy we create, what energy you believe in it. You just need to see, okay, what I'm playing with myself. We play programs that you are not aware anymore, okay? So that's also a projection. After it's more difficult when you go to a real movie, then it's so real, it's projection again. Why have this emotion? I project and it's real, and the actor, so it's many times of projections, and it's changing all the time. So in your real life, it's true that your parents are like this. And after, when somebody look like your father, you're gonna project what you didn't told to your father, and you want to project on the next leader because you didn't have courage to speak to your father, or your father react always the same way. So it's better to don't say it anymore. But maybe this anger is still inside.
I like what you said about, so like there's different intensities, because like some people are very traumatized and they have been very strong victims of very traumatic events in this life. I liked what you said about they need to take more steps to come back to themselves. And also the realization that this going inside the creator's game, it is maybe not for every level
Yeah.
trauma of this life, because the pain might be so overwhelming, or like it might be, that it might be for some people just too intense to go to take all of those steps, or too difficult for the group to hold this amount of energy. So it's just not, and also you send people away often from your workshops
Around
because
10%.
they go to 10%.
No, 5%.
Yeah, because and I also really like that, because there's just this honesty of like, I might not be able to help you or to deal with this energy right now, or this level of pain.
Yeah, I can give you many examples. When the person is too much traumatized, or she need to make some private sessions, or she need to make creators game with somebody who is beginner, because they go much more slower. And some people arrive and they have a kind of huge black hole inside of themselves. So they need time to go out of it. And the problem with this game is the energy of each person affect a lot the group, because it's a place where we share what we feel, and what we feel is affected by somebody else around. And if this person around is in an emotion and she feel not secure to express what she feel inside, because in past life she had to hold a secret and she cannot go over it, we try to help her 1, 2, 3 times, but if she cannot go over, it's make an handicap of the group. Because the purpose of this game is not just to make a kind of emotional release, is to go to very enlightened process. It's a very huge process. We can, this person can, it can be too much for the person. And if it's too much for the person, it's too much for us. Because what if she suffer, we feel the suffering inside. So it's a kind of adaptation. And sometimes is at the end of the workshop, then I ask a person just not to be for the last phase where you go to all enlightened. If the person stay in a resentment with the father and again and again and again, I say, okay, now is enough. You're going to be refunded for the last part of the weekend, because we want to go to another states of energy. You're still projecting on leader. I can understand you. You need more time, but please don't be there in this last phase, so you can go to relieving. I understood, and I needed 27 years to understand that one person that is in resentment very strongly against me or somebody else in a group holds the group down. And we cannot go to this relief of energy. This relief of energy, then when you go to a kind of enlightenment process, is accumulation of to be received, to be loved. And there you can expand. And if one person, about 30 people, is resenting, you don't go there. So what I can do against that? I cannot compensate that. So we teach the group how it is not a lynching person. A person can feel really bad about it, okay? So you are working on it, so the person go out with somebody who's holding space for her, but she had a lot of help before. We don't kick out people like this. And some people, sometimes they come on the beginning of workshop, and creators game is so much, then I had to adapt to this person. I feel inside, then they are criticizing. So I need to pull down myself. And on Friday evening, I say, sorry, but you are in the wrong workshop. It's not good for you. And after the next day, say, yes, it's not right for us. So I refund them, because somebody say, oh, it's a game. They come to play. But when they see it's so deep, they are so shaking. So I refund them because it's not good for them.
Yeah, you have to make this calculation you have to feel them and make this calculation, see how they're progressing, and then also to protect them sometimes. Just better if you leave this space, because we will touch upon things, and the things inside you is very deep, and you're very afraid, and it might be way overwhelming.
Yeah,
and also,
creators game is a place for all types of projections. So So if the people don't learn how to swallow the projections back and feel secure, if it's too much, too quick, it's not good for them, it's not good for us.
When one person leaves the room, my energy can completely shift. And it's also what I learned from you when I gave my dance workshop after having spent some time in learning with you. I came and I was really trying to feel, because usually in the beginning I feel a lot of anxiety of this workshop, and I learned this from you. I came and I was trying to see, okay, who is sending out which energy that I'm feeling inside.
It's really strange. Sometimes you are using 10 minutes away checking the energy. So because it's a tension and nobody say he create this tension. So I check the energy. Sometimes I see the energy, sometimes I don't see it. It depends the frequency. But I have a doubt. Maybe it can come from this person. And I ask the person to go out during 10 minutes, and suddenly, without doing anything, we go to enlightenment process. Or the energy will feel much more better. In 3 minutes, the energy is totally changed. And when the person comes, we are in totally different energy, it's no problem anymore, because we are so charged with this positive energy, then the energy of the person is not affected anymore. They don't affect us so much. It's depend the power of the energy of the person. So it's just to know how much you are affected about the energy of each one, because each one is a kind of creator. And in this quantum field, we create what we believe. So if you believe that it's dangerous, other people will feel it's dangerous, but they don't know why it's dangerous. So you need to, who is creating what? Okay? So it's very, very strange game. This is why now I bring this to YouTube for the people to know more and more about this game, because more they know it mentally, less they will have projections afterwards. Okay, so I will play a little bit more safe.
Yeah, it's first you need to rationally understand this. Is one of the first steps. I noticed, like, sometimes before sending someone out, you will ask this a few times during the workshop. You will ask, like, okay, I'm starting to, you will say also, feel like someone's projecting onto me, or you can say something like, I feel someone is afraid, or someone is not paying attention. And then you will look around and you will ask, who is creating this energy? And often someone will step forward and be like, oh, me, I'm at T plus, no. I started to be triggered about this that you said, or I noticed I need to go to the bathroom, but I was afraid to ask.
Sometimes it's like this. The person wants to leave because she wanted to go to the bathroom. And when I was in a game, it was 80 people. The energy was so big, I felt like a kind of big swimming pool, a kind of big bubble of energy. And suddenly, 5 seconds, it dropped down and say, okay. And I had the sensation, then I want to leave. I want to leave from my workshop. It's strange. And so I asked, who wants to leave? People was embarrassed about this question until one person say, I'd like to go to toilet. Yes, okay, go. Because we are sending the energy where we are focusing. So if you are focusing outside, the energy from the place go where we are focusing. It's so strange. Some people have so much power. They are very small in a small physical energy, but they have huge power. So they have a huge impact in a group. So, and how can I know that I'm right? I never know if I'm right. So I share, I feel this, and I give this opportunity to the group to express also. And with I felt somebody is afraid, or I feel afraid, or my body begin with attacking me. If the person express it, or maybe it's me because you say that, okay, what's your event? And we work on it and it's no problem. So our bodies tell us a lot of things, emotions. So
super interesting. I wonder if there is anything left to say about this topic for now.
So I was asking about the line or the difference between a projection or a real, let's say, perpetrator. Where is the difference? For example, there's an argument, there's insulting, or there's violence, depending on how much energy or how bad the impact is of a person. Where is the difference between I'm projecting that this person is doing something that is not right, or it is really not right what this person is doing?
Okay, if the person, for example, I am A, and this person is interacting with me. Okay, this person, if is not in energy of love, is also projecting. So I'm receiving a projection. So that is obvious, then is a projection. And if I'm reacting to it, I'm so projecting also. But I can react to somebody who is insulting me. But in this case, I need to defend myself in different ways. So if I am a victim, I can insult the person back, or I can run away. I have 5 systems of defense against attack. I can also attack. But if I'm not projecting to this somebody who project on me, I can hold space for the person because it's not hurting me. A person can insult me, but if she asks me the permission to insult me, I'm holding space because I know that it's not on me. This person is insulting me with open eyes or closed eyes. If it's closed eyes, it's a process. If it's an open eyes, it could be an exercise, then I decide to receive. Okay, in this case is when I am in the game. If I am outside of a game and somebody insult me, do I project back or not? This person is angry, this person is bad, this person is acting away. She's really projecting, but what I do with it? I can project back or hold space. Or I can just leave. So that's answer to your question or not? We are creating a space to replay all these games than we do in our normal life. So it's much more easy to receive somebody who project and hold space for the other person. The thing is how to bring that to everyday life. That's answer to you a little bit. If somebody abuse another person physically, is really abuse.
And if I understand you right, someone, for example, is abusing a person physically, and this person, normally we say it's normal to react. It's normal to be afraid, to be sad, to be whatever reaction comes. So from your point of view, it sounds like if a person is really liberated, she doesn't even have to react. Is that right?
If it's a physical abuse, you need to react.
Yeah.
If it's a physical abuse, you have to react. If you are in danger physically, sexually, you need to react. For example, reaction can be putting, I don't want that. That's is a soft reaction, but I act on other person. And if the person don't stop, I can leave. If the person run physically on me and hold my hand with anger, and I feel in danger physically, I can begin to counterattack also physically to defend my body. So it's many different situations. One is verbal and one is physical.
Thank you so much, Angelo. Thank you, Vincent, for being on as well. I'm again a little intrigued, and I would love to continue our conversations about the victim strategies.
Yeah, thank you for his introduction of projections. And for me, is the key to go back to ourselves. If you identify when you are projecting, we can focus inside of ourselves and transform. That's very important. And the projections on the leader, you were seeing it today, and is to become our own leader, stopping the projection and to go back to our power. Stop to be victim and go back to our power as a leader. That's what is the intention of today.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and thank you, Vincent, as well, for listening and asking questions.
Yeah, I would also like to say some closing words. In the past weeks, I was witnessing many projections, and I was trying to help the people to clear it, or when I myself was projecting, working on it slowly, step by step. So I tried to bring all this confusion that is connected to this topic also into that talk. It brought me some clearance, and I'm really interested. And I think this point of view of projecting can be really helpful for let's say, community work, for all communities, for families and friendships.
All right, so we'll be back next week with
Thank
more.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.